Hey, it's Drew Bennett from Big Damn Kid, and it is January 10th, so we are on the 10th issue of Transformers, the ongoing series from Marvel Comics from 1985. This issue was published in November of 1985. It was on a monthly at that point. So we open up on the aerospace assembly plant, number 1, that is owned by G.B. Blackrock, but is now been taken over by the Decepticons, and we've got Shockwave there with Optimus Prime. Optimus Prime is helplessly ahead, and he is there because he can use his creation matrix to create new Decepticons, and that is what Shockwave is using him for. Now, the thing about that is that Optimus transferred the creation matrix to Buster Witwicky, who is the human that they first met on the first issue. So right after Optimus was made into a head, they must have used the creation matrix to create these brain modules for the robots that are going to be built in this issue, because there is no way that he had the creation matrix after he transferred to Buster Witwicky. So I don't know how these new Decepticons were made unless the brain modules were made prior to Optimus transferring the creation matrix to Buster Witwicky. So, but it also seems strange that he's here in this assembly plant, and there is the brain modules being imbued with creation, even though Optimus doesn't have the creation matrix. It's very odd. I don't understand. They're saying that in one of the frames. In the panels, it says, by your creation matrix, and it says Transformers issue number 6. Now, in issue number 6, it doesn't actually show Optimus creating these brain modules for these particular Decepticons, who we find out are the very popular, fan favorite Constructicons, because they can become Devastator. And we see from the cover here that Devastator is making an appearance in this issue. So we are starting to get new Decepticons, new Autobots, pretty fast and furious in these issues now. But there is the story coming up with it. So the Constructicons, 6 vehicles. We got Scavenger, Mixmaster, Long Haul, Bone Crusher, Scrapper, and Hook. So all those guys put together, they become Devastator. So we continue on. We go back to the Ark. In the Ark, we have G.B. Blackrock. They're on a tour of the Ark because he has made a deal with Jazz and the Autobots to provide fuel in exchange for the Autobots providing him protection. And what the Autobots are going to try to do is get back his plant and his oil rig for him so that he will help them. Now, G.B., I don't know if I've had G.B. wrong all these years, but he seems like a nice enough guy. There are some things where, he's looking around in the Ark and he does think to himself, this sort of technology is going to put me way ahead if I can get my hands on some of this technology. So there may be some double dealing going on with GB later, which is unfortunate because the end of the last issue, he kind of impressed me with what he had to say about Circuit Breaker. How she was the only one who was unscathed, and she ultimately ended up lost because she doesn't have the understanding that there are good Autobots and bad Autobots, good robots and bad robots, and the Autobots and the Decepticons. So GB is going through the Ark. He comes across Ratchet's repair bay, and in the repair bay you got Jazz, who's getting a whole new arm. And when they also pan over and they discover that Sunstreaker is completely inoperable, is he ever going to become whole again? We'll have to find out. I think this is one of those longest running parts of the Transformers comics, at least in my mind, of how long Sunstreaker is out of commission. Spoiler alert, he comes back at some point. Well, anyway, they go over and they talk to Huffer. Huffer he's like their chief construction officer, and he is creating what is he calling it here? It is a radio wave the transdimensional radio wave scrambler, so that they can call Cybertron. And that's what he wants to do, is call Cybertron because he wants to go home. GB also sees the body of Optimus Prime that's standing in memoriam, letting all the Autobots know that what they're still fighting for is to free their leader from Shockwave and also free the employees of GB Blackrock Enterprises at the aerospace factory there. And so Bumblebee gives them a call. He's been scouting over at the plant, and he sees that there is a diversion. Laserbeak comes flying outside, basically melts all the metal of the army. I mean, these guys have no chance with the Decepticons at this point. And in a diversion, the 6 Constructicons go rolling out, and they are now headed off to parts unknown at this point. We go back inside. Shockwave reveals to Optimus that the next Decepticon that they're going to create is Jetfire. Yes, Jetfire started his life as a Decepticon. There are different origins to Jetfire. That he crash landed on in the cartoon. He crash landed on Earth. He was confused as to whether he was a Decepticon or an Autobot, or actually he was a Decepticon, and he was a science officer. He was friends with Starscream. These are all different parts of the story and the origin of Jetfire, who was also called Skyfire. A lot of confusion there. We then go back to where Buster Witwicky and Sparkplug Witwicky finally gets home after his stint in the hospital after the heart attack that he suffered in issue number 4. So he is expecting to be working on a whole bunch of cars, but Buster has fixed all of them because Buster now has the creation matrix within him, and he has this power over mechanical objects like that screw right there, and he can now fix things. We now meet a new human. I think he's just in for this issue. Bomber Bill. Bomber Bill is a trucker, and he's just like this rough and tumble trucker. He's out there at a truck stop. He's gonna get a whole mess of grits. Let's see, a T-bone and some taters drowned in heavenly gravy, and he's heading home to see his family, and nothing's gonna stop him from heading home. But the Decepticons, Constructicons, have other plans. They actually take his truck, Bessie, and they're going to use his truck and some other truckers' trucks as raw materials because they're going off to make something up the road. Bomber Bill chases after them, and he meets up with the Autobots. Most of them go by him, but he steps right out in front of Huffer. Appropriate. Here's a trucker getting in a semi-truck, Huffer, the semi-truck. And he and Huffer become friends on their drive up to the top of this mountain where the Constructicons have created a trans-dimensional warp something or other. It was the a trans-dimensional radio wave scrambler, something that Huffer was trying to build. But theirs is huge, and it seems like they built it in seconds because the Autobots were right behind them. I don't know. Soundwave's with them, and he is trying to send out a transmission to Cybertron. The Autobots attack, and the Constructicons then do something that they've never seen before. They form Devastator. So, the Autobots have never seen this before. They've never seen the Combiners or Gestalt. And it's interesting because they do refer to him as one terrifying Titan. And the current comics that are out now have the underheader of Titan's Return. And so Devastator pretty much makes short work of all the Autobots. They send Huffer after the transdimensional scrambler to smash it because he's the strongest one that's there. Which is interesting because Brawn is there, and I always thought that Brawn was stronger than Huffer, but apparently not. Bomber Bill goes and gets his truck, Bessie, and he's trying to get away. The Bessie won't turn over. The Autobots are getting attacked by Devastator. Soundwave shouts for Devastator to come over and attack Huffer because Huffer's going to destroy the Scrambler. Although Huffer has kind of a pause there, and in his pause, his longing for home, his homesickness, that they could have used this to contact the Autobots on Cybertron. This gives Soundwave the moment he needs to send out a message to Cybertron using that particular scrambler before it can get damaged. And when he finally wakes up and tries to do it, then Devastator knocks him out. But Bomber Bill, he goes after the scrambler in Bessie, and he comes flying through, knocks out all the communication wires off of Soundwave, but Soundwave grabs Bessie, lifts it in the air, and Bomber Bill is finally, ultimately, saved by Huffer, who knocks out Soundwave with one punch, catches Bessie in the air. So, yeah, I guess he is pretty strong. And then they destroy the Scrambler, but the Constructicons and Soundwave get away. Bomber Bill is off to home, and he and Huffer have a little heart-to-heart that, you know, they all kind of make some mistakes when they're thinking about their home world, their home, and the people that they love. And unfortunately, Huffer, he can't go back home because they're stranded there on Earth. There's an epilogue where Optimus is being spoken to by Shockwave at the plant, and GB and Prowl are overhearing this because GB had remembered that he had wiretapped all of the phones at the plant, and so he can hear their whole conversation. And Optimus realizes he doesn't, they realize that, I think Shockwave's starting to realize that Optimus does not have this creation matrix because he can't get Jetfire to come alive. And so if he doesn't have the creation matrix, he doesn't have any value left to Shockwave. Shockwave is very calculating, very much, pragmatic. If you have no value to me, you're gone, you're scrapped, that's it. So, next issue, we will find out the fate of Optimus Prime and the fate of Jetfire. This was a cool issue. It was great to see Devastator come into the comic, but again, there are some plot holes around his origin because it doesn't explicitly show us where Optimus's use of the creation matrix involuntarily happened, but I guess it's implied. Anyway, this is Drew Bennett from Big Damn Kid. You can find me on Instagram as Big Damn Kid, Twitter as Big Damn Kid, also on Facebook as Big Damn Kid, and at thebigdamnkid.com. I enjoy doing these videos. I love it if you leave me a comment. What do you think? What's your favorite Transformers issue ever? Let me know in the comments below. Please subscribe, and thanks for watching.